Another foggy start here at UC Health Training Center as fans have made their way in for day 2 of training camp, and a little weather won't stop the guys from competing out on the field. Hey, it's an early preview of some football weather. Hello, and thank you for joining us on this Sunday morning for Broncos Camp Live, powered by Ford. I'm Phil Milani alongside Matt Boyer and Andrew Mason. And guys, it's day 2 training camp, a marathon, not a sprint. How do you think they're feeling out there?
Probably a little sore. I think they're knocking the rust off a little bit, but Vance Joseph, we talked to him yesterday, very happy with the energy level that the players showed, very happy with the shape that they came back in. But like everything, Mace, getting back into the swing of things always takes some time, but the guys look like they're ready to go.
Yeah, they looked ready, looked like they picked up where they left off in minicamp. Not too much rust. I think you can owe some of that to the fact that some players got together and did workouts on their own over the last few weeks to kind of stay in rhythm, stay with the playbook. It looked like the team in general was pretty smooth for a first day. I've seen a lot of real clunky first days. Yesterday wasn't one of them.
Yeah. And, football shape is a little bit different than running on a treadmill or lifting weights in the weight room. Good to see the guys back in form out there on the first day. And it was a surprise to see Shane Ray out there. We kind of knew he wasn't going to do his surgery, but he says he feels no pain.
Well, Von Miller said he was surprised. He said he texted Shane the morning of his scheduled surgery, said, hey, good luck. We're really rooting for you. Got a text a couple hours later and said, you know what? I'm fine. Shane texts back, I didn't need the surgery. I think he was very happy with the second opinion that he got. And as we've said, this is going to be a big year for Shane. I think that he wanted to come in and play his best. He said he was feeling no pain. That combined with the second opinion, I think he was happy with what he heard.
It's a big year, and because he didn't have the surgery, he was able to work out. He said, hey, I've got no limits on the field, no limits in the weight room. So I asked him what he weighed. He said 250 pounds, which is easily the heaviest weight of his career. And you could see him in the one-on-one work, guys, using that weight, getting a lot more push with the upper body to be able to knock the offensive lineman back a little bit. And it looks like he's kept his speed even at the heavier weight. We'll learn more when the pads go on, but I saw some very good signs from Shane Ray yesterday.
You can see him still wearing that huge brace on there. So, he's still got that going for him. But hopefully this is a better year for Shane Ray. He definitely tried to come back maybe a little bit too early last season. Didn't quite have it. But you mentioned Von Miller. He's got to be happy that his sidekick is back out there.
Well, I think that it just opens so many different things for Vaughn now. I think Vaughn, we expected him to come in this season ready to go. He didn't post a lot on social media, said he did a lot of self-reflection, a lot of looking inward, really concentrated on himself instead of what he was putting out into the world. And I think he's come back in great shape again. And adding Shane Ray now opens things up for Vaughn. Him, Chubb, Ray, Barrett, I think all of those guys are going to allow the Broncos defense to do a lot of different things that we haven't seen necessarily.
Well, you can use them all together. You can really have a super NASCAR package, as it were, with those 4 guys, but you can also rotate them and keep them fresh. And look, the ideal situation for any team is having 4 effective edge rushers, whether you're a 4-3 or a 3-4 team. You want to be able to rotate those guys in so when the tackles they're facing are getting tired, you've got fresh legs coming at them, especially in the fourth quarter. So I think a very good sign that Shane Ray is back in the mix, giving the Broncos the depth that they need at the position.
Von Miller just 10 sacks last season. A couple of years ago, he was close to becoming Defensive Player of the Year. Mm-hmm. Can he get back to that level? Can he be the Defensive Player of the Year this year?
Well, I'll tell you, the 10 sacks, it wasn't just on him. It was a part of the fact that the Broncos were playing from behind so often. Teams didn't have to throw the ball downfield. They could really have a fairways and greens conservative game plan because they were playing from ahead against the Broncos. So the sack opportunities were not as plentiful for Von Miller. So I think getting back to 15, 16, 17, some of it's on him, some of it is on the rest of the team, the complementary football aspect of it, the offense not turning the ball over, making sure that games are manageable, making sure that teams that are going against the Broncos defense have to look deep from time to time. The quarterbacks have to hold the ball a little bit longer. That will set up Von Miller for sacks as much as anything he does.
Got to be good to have Bradley Chubb out there, too. I mean, that just going to open up the lanes for Vaughn.
Well, we saw Chubb yesterday drop back into coverage and almost picked off a pass.
It would have been beautiful.
He got up real high, got both hands on it, just couldn't bring it down. But I think that play more than anything yesterday demonstrated the athleticism that we knew he had, that he showcased at the Combine, that he showcased in the offseason program, but now we're getting to see that in the team periods. And if, like Mace, you mentioned, if he's able to drop back, that allows Vaughn to, push up on the offensive line. I think that especially if they're able to get a lot of defensive dropbacks, a couple of different looks, I think they're going to be in good shape.
Well, then opponents don't know what they're going to get. They're going to look across the line of scrimmage and say, oh, could Chubb drop back? Could he be rushing the passer? Same with Vaughn, same with Shane Ray and Shaq Barrett. I'll tell you, the other thing with Chubb, if he can learn how to cover at 269 pounds, he becomes somebody that in a pinch, if you're facing off against one of these Leviathan tight ends that are 260, 265 and have great hands, that Chubb is the kind of guy that could maybe be a physical match one-on-one for some of those guys. It's an intriguing possibility.
Let's talk about the other side of the ball a little bit here. We know that the running back position, that's going to be a lot of competition, a lot of eyeballs on that area. No real proven guy there. Royce Freeman has as good a shot as anybody of becoming that starting running back.
Well, he looked very good yesterday. I know in this type of situation, the first couple days of camp without pads, he can't really get a good sense of, where a guy is physically, but in the playbook, Royce was hitting his holes, knew where to go, was following his blocks very, very well, and, in the first couple of days, Mace, it looks like he's got everything down pat.
Yeah, that just picked up where he was in OTAs in terms of the vision, being able to read the blocks as they develop, get to the right spot, take advantage of it, but, he's in there, but it's a wide-open mix. All 5 running backs saw first-team reps at various points yesterday. And really, if you're Devontae Booker, you're the incumbent, but you've got these young guys that are nipping at your heels. You better bring it.
You see the team just wrapping up stretches there, about to get into individual drills now. Mace, we saw you wrote something on DenverBroncos.com about Phillip Lindsay. He's got a good shot at becoming that starter too, right?
Yeah, maybe not the starter, but I think a situational back who's in the mix. And, when you have a guy like Phillip Lindsay, this could be part of a committee situation if that develops. That's a possibility. The Broncos go with a committee arrangement like New England, like Philadelphia, among other teams, rather than having a bell cow back. And if that's the case, Phillip Lindsay is a guy who could factor in on third downs, long yardage situations, or just anytime you want to create a mismatch. You can use him in the backfield. He can line up in space. You can basically have him as a wide receiver as well. And he's able to make plays no matter where you put him. I think the test for Phillip Lindsay is going to be when pads go on and you get to full pad practices and you get to the preseason games, can he occasionally go up the middle? We saw some of that down at the East-West Shrine game in January that, they'd send him up the middle and he had no fear, but can he do that on an every game basis? That's going to be the key, because if he can do that, then you can use him on any down that you want. Maybe he's not your every down back, but you can use him in any situation, and the opponent will have to account for him going up the middle and not just making plays in space.
He's got sauce. That's the term that Brandon Marshall used about him yesterday. I think that we saw it, Mace, as you mentioned, the athleticism going up the field. He beat Marshall on a double move. Marshall slipped, to be fair. However, the catch that Phillip made was very, very nice, over-the-shoulder grab in that team period. The highlights, of course, on DenverBroncos.com. But I think that Lindsay is going to see his spots on special teams, see his spots on third down, and make the most of his opportunity.
Well, he definitely has a chip on his shoulder. Not invited to the Combine. He was at the East-West Shrine game, but not really a lot of pre-draft hype about him. Went undrafted, but clearly making a little bit of an impression on at least Brandon Marshall, who we heard from yesterday. Chip on his shoulder. There's a different atmosphere out there. It starts at the top with head coach Vance Joseph, and he was mic'd up yesterday. Let's take a look at some of the sounds from yesterday's practice.
Oh, man, yes. It's a good group. My God. We've got some athletic rushers. He freed himself up by doing what? Coming back to the ball, but he's got to squeeze it. Great job coming back to the ball. Hey, first guy, give me a tag. Work for a script, but don't hold him. Let him run, okay? Work for a script, but don't hold him. Let him run. There you go, Philly. Good, Philly. There you go, Philly. That's the way to be a pro. We got 2 Phillies. It's football conditioning, man, and you get that by playing football, okay? So on this grass, man, effort, 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 okay? That's one thing, man, we have to have is great effort, okay?
Good to see Vance Joseph getting into some of those X's and O's, really coaching up the guys. Definitely a different feel at Broncos training camp this year versus last year. We want to bring in the main man, Steve.
No, man.
There you go.
Oh, you feel me?
No,
Matt Boyer and Phil,
no.
you guys are the main men.
Try and bring in Broncos Ring of Famer out onto the set. Let's move on and talk a little bit about the wide receivers a little bit. We see a nice little competition going on there amongst the two new rookie wideouts out there. Courtland Sutton looked like he was pretty sharp yesterday.
He looked like a man out there yesterday. He caught some great passes. Guys were trying to jam him. He got off the jam really well. It's going to be exciting to see the development of both he and Deshaun Hamilton.
Demaryius Thomas, of course, playing a big role in his mentoring some of the younger guys. Who do you think is going to have more touchdown catches this year, Demaryius Thomas or Courtland Sutton?
Well, you got to give it to DT at this point.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is a guy who has seen it all, has won a Super Bowl, caught passes from Peyton Manning, who we saw out here yesterday. I think that DT's experience, just the veteran, his level of intelligence when it comes to that playbook too. I think that he's going to be able to find his spots better than Courtland. I think Courtland's going to get there eventually, but I don't think that this year he's going to necessarily rise to that level.
He's
DT's
huge,
level.
though. He's
I know,
in the red zone.
but DT's DT.
DT's DT, and this year we have a quarterback that's going to be looking to make big plays, and I would imagine that he's going to go to his playmakers in clutch situations.
Yeah, you see some of the wide receivers here going through their drills. A new Zach Azani, the new wide receivers coach there. So do you think that Demaryius Thomas, now he's got that quarterback, that steady level hand there, do you think he's going to return to what we saw with him and Peyton?
That's exactly what I'm anticipating. He almost got 1,000 yards last year with the quarterback situation changing almost on a weekly basis. It wasn't on a weekly basis, but
Three quarterbacks.
Three quarterbacks last season. So I anticipate with having a stable quarterback and with Case Keenum staying healthy, that DT will certainly get back to his previous year's forms.
That is some veteran experience. I see the drills, but you know what? I need to get a little bit more of a stretch in. I'm not necessarily ready. That's some awareness there in your veteran years.
It's the little twinge. Yeah,
there you go.
There's a little soft tissue on there.
Well, he'll be going up against, of course, the defensive backs during training camp. Bradley Roby moving into a new role. How do you think he's going to adjust to being the main guy?
Well, I think he's going to adjust well. I mean, he did a great job when he was at Ohio State, and each time he's come in as that third cornerback, I think he's done a solid job. So I think he's ready for this next move up, and he's great at coverage. He has great speed. He's fearless in my opinion, and I think he's again ready for the challenge.
I think we always see it with Roby. A couple times in team drills or 7-on-7, he makes a play where you go, wow.
Yeah.
Like it always seems to happen when we hit training camp. He's making one or two plays of practice where you just shake your head and go, I don't know how he did that. And I think that being able to give him that additional playing time now will give him the confidence to do what he needs to do to rise to that number 2 level.
He said just from a mentality standpoint, knowing when he was going to be a starter the last couple of years, whenever he's had to fill in, he's a little bit sharper, a little bit more focused heading into those games where he was the starter. Justin Simmons, the safety there, he's entering year 3 now. Definitely solidified his spot last season as a starter. What are you expecting out of the young safety?
Well, I'm expecting him to continue his continued growth this year. Last year, a couple of times on the field, there was a little bit of confusion. He's got a couple of years in the system now, and his second year as a starter. I anticipate him being able to get everybody else lined up if there are any issues in the secondary, and him continuing to perform at a very high level.
Do you like his physicality? That was one of the knocks on him coming out of school. He's not physical enough, but we've seen him get in there and get after the quarterback a little bit too.
I think the speed is there too. I know yesterday he ran down. I mean, he took a great angle on Emmanuel Sanders, and I think that he's got the physical tools now. A couple years in the league to do what he needs to do in order to make an impact in the secondary.
Yeah, and his tackling ability. He has one of the highest tackling ratings in the NFL in terms of not missing many tackles. So that bodes well and shows that he's not afraid to get up in the mix.
You caught up with Justin Simmons the other day, right?
I did. I was able to get an exclusive look at Justin Simmons in year 3, moving into the team hotel ahead of training camp. But the thing that he's most looking forward to this training camp is the quiet that he's going to get at the team hotel.
Bam. We remember. Welcome to my crib. Man, I love it. This probably is the best part. And listen, do you hear that? Silence. No baby. We're good. Sorry, babe, but we're good for the next couple of days. The only thing I need to have is my Xbox. For Netflix, I don't like watching a movie or watching shows that I haven't seen, and I tend to do that when I'm watching regular TV because then I stay up. So if I go on Netflix and I put on Friends, or if I put on The Office, or something that's like super light that I can just watch a couple episodes and then just go to sleep, that's essentially what I like to do. So that's why I always bring my Xbox to camp. Broncos country, I brought you to the humble abode, my crib, for the next couple weeks. But I need to get some rest for camp tomorrow and for the ensuing weeks, so y'all need to get the heck out of here. Peace.
So Justin Simmons has a newborn at home, but he's getting plenty of peace and quiet in the team hotel. Steve, when you were a player, what was it like? I know Justin doesn't have a roommate. That wasn't typical in your day, was it?
Yeah, well, some guys didn't have roommates. Some guys were able to have their own rooms. The guys who get up there in age a little bit, get a little few of the benefits of being a veteran. But being away, having your own room, and just kind of disconnecting from society and being able to get focused is one of the things that we loved about going to Greeley, and kind of our time to bond together. We kind of cut the cords on, try to tie up the loose ends before we go, and then that's just our focus time. And I think that's what these guys are able to do there at the hotel, just be able to concentrate 100% on football. And hey, right now everything else has to go over their heads.
That safety position, there's going to be a lot of competition there. Let's start with talking about a guy, Sula Cravens, really hoping for a new beginning here in Denver.
Yeah, hoping for a new beginning. He had some concussion issues a couple of years ago with the Redskins, and he's been clear of all of that. But this is a guy who is great in coverage, great at covering tight ends, great at covering backs out of the backfield, and a very physical player as well. It'll be interesting to see how the Broncos will utilize him. Will they utilize him more as a linebacker on third downs, or will he actually get a chance to compete for a starting safety position?
One interesting note is he actually rode over to the team hotel with Justin just before we shot that piece, and I think he's bonding well. I know the knock on him in Washington was, I don't know how good of a teammate he is, but all the guys in the secondary love him. He's getting along very, very well with his teammates.
Obviously a fan favorite, too, getting a little interaction there with the fans. The safety position, there's going to be a lot of competition. There's some younger guys there. Younger guys out on the field there were a little bit starstruck yesterday. They got to see Peyton Manning. Here was their reaction when they got a chance to see that Peyton Manning was out there on the field.
I remember the first time I met him was during OTAs, and he walked up to me. He was Peyton Manning. I was like, yeah, I know. You're the sheriff. I was like, I'm Courtland Sutton. It's nice to meet you.
Peyton's man around here. If he wants to drop back, throw a pass, maybe go ahead and let him. I'd like to catch a ball from him.
I saw him right there, and I was telling Shaq, I was like, that's Peyton right there. He was like, yeah, I know. I was like, yeah, you played with him. I didn't. So, and then I was like, go over here with me and let me introduce myself. He was like, nah. So if I see him again, I'll introduce myself. But I was a little nervous that time.
We also saw Peyton Manning interacting with Case Keenum there at the end. Good to see that those two already have a pretty good relationship. Dates back before Keenum was out here.
Yeah, when Case first got out here, he had mentioned that Peyton was one of the first to text, send along well wishes. I definitely think Peyton has now moved into that emeritus role out here as almost like a professor that you kind of come up and meet the old guy. I think that he's very, very much still a part of this Denver community, and it's very important it's great to see that guys have kind of embraced him. They know who he is immediately when they step on the field here.
Yeah, it has been an amazing feeling for Peyton to come to a second team and still get that same love that he got, I'm sure, in Indianapolis as well. He had a great career here, Ring of Famer, all that good stuff. We would imagine first ballot Hall of Famer as well. So definitely happy to see him around whenever he comes.
Well, we're just wrapping up here this edition of Broncos Camp Live. Steve, quickly, what are you guys doing on the radio? What do you got on store today?
Oh, man, we were just talking about yesterday's practice, breaking down what we're going to see out here today, just focusing in on all the guys, all the different positions. Offensively, of course, we're like to see how Case Keenum is doing. Defensively, we'd also like to see if that third cornerback position, Tremaine Brock, if he's going to be able to win that position, or Brandon Langley will win it. So our eyes will be on both offense and defense.
Well, you get a little bit of that. Make sure to check out Orange and Blue 760 all throughout training camp, and also Orange and Blue Daily on Channel 20 or at 6:30 nightly for a recap of some of the best moments throughout the day. All right, that's going to do it for us. For Steve Atwater, Matt Boyer, I'm Phil Milani. Thanks for joining us for Broncos Camp Live, powered by Ford.